Everybody, good afternoon, media. I'm not too sure if we're going live.
You like opening remarks?
Yes.
You just
My name is Tami Madondo, an NEC member, Operation Dudula. We've got a few members of the NEC around to be deported back to Zimbabwe after this media brief because apparently she is allegedly a Zimbabwean. We are here to give the organizational position in relation to the court judgment that came out on the 5th that interdicted all the Operation Dudula programs, having gone to the hospitals. We've been interdicted as Operation Dudula not to continue with such programs, the school programs, the hijacking of buildings. And it is unfortunate that in a country where justice system is run by criminal syndicates and drug cartels, as Mkwanazi has already alleged, you'd never find justice. And this is where we are. So the president of Operation Dudula today will give and take the country into confidence in relation to the judgment, and that's where we are. It is very sad that in a country where there is no law, the criminal syndicates will obviously run the country. And we've learned from Kwanazi, hence we've got the Madlanga Commission today. But President, take the people into confidence.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, colleagues, media house. Thank you so much for joining us today. Commander's morning. We don't know what afternoon is tonight. It's always morning to us. But thank you so much for making time to avail yourselves to cover us on these unfortunate events. But we always turn our unfortunate events into something good. As you know, our country is burning into ashes, so definitely we can't just sit and fold our arms. Now, I'm not sitting here as a politician, but rather, as a daughter of soil. I want to talk to, our brothers and sisters who are on the roads, suffering because of drugs. We have lost leaders in this country. They've long, stopped being part of us long time ago. And, they always tell us that our hospitals are fine, while we also have people that are waiting for their cancer treatment for over 9 months if you are lucky. But if you're not lucky, then you pass on even before you get your treatment. So we can't be fine. But I'm going to go through the statement and get to the business of the day. So today is the 6th of November and we are here in Johannesburg. Now this is a press statement to respond to the Johannesburg High Court ruling. Now Operation Dudula notes with the recent judgment handed down by Judge Adams at the Johannesburg High Court. While we recognize and respect the vital role of the judiciary in upholding South Africa's constitutional democracy, we remain deeply concerned about the broader implications of the ruling, particularly its impact on compliance and respect for South African laws by foreigners. Violations and non-compliance with Immigration Acts, employment laws, and various municipal bylaws by migrants as a concern as it undermines South Africa and threatens social cohesion. Operation Dudula also notes that the ruling refers to foreign nationals, whereas our mandate and programs have always focused on illegal immigration and its negative impact on society. Operation Dudula, as part of community, has a civic duty to report and assist the state in dealing with illegal immigration and all form of illegality. Now we reiterate our position that illegal immigration poses a serious threat in our constitutional and democracy and the rule of law. Illegal immigrants are also a burden on poor South Africans. Provision on social services to illegal migrants unaccounted for in our national budget. It puts a strain on resources meant for poor South Africans. The strains on healthcare workers, teachers, other civil servants who continue to serve an overstretched system impacted by illegal migrants should also not be overlooked or downplayed. Now, Operation Dudula also draws attention to Section 42 of the Immigration Act, Act number 13 of 2002, which explicitly prohibits aiding, abetting illegal migrants, including harboring, employing, or concealing persons unlawfully present in the Republic. The legal provision reinforces the shared responsibility of all persons within South Africa to uphold the rule of law. I guess these are some of the judgments, the orders that we should actually allow lawlessness and allow people to abet and harbor illegal foreigners. But furthermore, Section 42 of the Criminal Procedure Act, Act number 51 of 1977, empowers any citizen to perform a citizen's arrest when witnessing a person committing an offense or when there is a reasonable suspicion that such a person has committed crime. Our police don't know what citizen arrest is. This constitutional safeguard underscores the principle that duty to uphold the rule of law and order is not limited to the police alone, but extends to all citizens committed to protecting the Republic. Now, Operation Dudula urges judges to exercise responsibility by not issuing judgments that encourage anarchy and chaos, which potentially could put South Africa's stability and national security at risk. Operation Dudula recognizes and respects the Immigration Act, allows foreigners to visit or stay in South Africa in line with the applicable permits. Now, equally to that, the preamble of the Immigration Act also stresses, amongst other things, that the Department of Home Affairs must make sure that the immigration laws are efficiently and effectively enforced by deployed administrative capacity to mitigate illegality related to immigration. Contribution of foreigners in South Africa labor market must not adversely impact on existing law standards and the rights and expectations of South African workers. Now, the South African Constitution must therefore not be abused to serve agendas that protect the interest of illegal migrants and others who benefit from the chaos to the detriment of South African citizens. We remind people in position of authority to remember sacrifices made by many South Africans before us. Now I'm talking about the people that lost their lives during the struggles. We're still losing people even today. So we shouldn't, forget about them. So that also they fought actually for all South Africans to live with dignity. Now, the poor enforcement of immigration laws is not only reckless, but it also tantamount to sacrificing the majority of voiceless South Africans. That's, our destitute grandmothers, parents, children, great-grandchildren, brothers and sisters, who are forced to share limited social services with illegal foreigners, thus depriving them of basic human rights, services such as health and education, but not just limited to that. Now, Operation Dudula has submitted over 100 memorandums in the past 5 years. Now, this also includes memorandum submitted to the Presidency, the Department of Home Affairs, the Department of Labor and Employment, SAPS, municipalities, and other state agencies. Now, we've been urging them to enforce applicable laws. Now, in April 2022, we also wrote to the Public Protector, requesting an intervention and investigation on corruption within state agencies like Home Affairs, SAPS, and the Department of Labor. So these are revelations. Panas is showing us flames with everything that we had requested from the Public Protector, but she failed to protect us that time. Now, in May 2022, Operation Dudula and other civic organizations alarmed at all levels of criminality associated with illegal immigration, such as human trafficking, illegal mining, drug trafficking, kidnapping, vehicle spikes, cross-border vehicle theft, etc. I know that we will be told that crime has no nationality, but these are the crimes that are foreign to us. Not really all of them, but we are seeing foreign crime that we've never experienced before having such an influx of foreigners. But we also submitted a letter to the President recommending that the President declares a state of emergency on illegal immigration. But unfortunately, all these efforts were ignored. Now, this was back then in 2022. We're in 2025 now, almost 2026. The year is almost done. But all of those efforts were ignored. We again call on the state to do its job, to arrest and deport all illegal foreigners, to defend the interests of South African citizens, which are under serious threat. We believe that any judicial or administrative interpretation of immigration laws must be balanced with South Africa's constitutional obligations to safeguard national sovereignty. The rule of law, preserve social stability, and ensure the equitable distribution of limited resources. Now, these are to be the people, the citizens of this country, which is South Africa. Not all who lives in it, but we the citizens. The law must not be unjustly used to silence South Africans, but when legitimate issues are directly impacting our lives, we will definitely raise them. Operation Dudula remains firmly committed to the rule of law and to operating within the confines of South Africa's constitutional and legal framework. However, we will not shy away from holding the state accountable where implementation of court rulings undermines the country's ability to enforce immigration laws efficiently. Now, as a country, we also need to address and clarify the meaning of South Africa belongs to all who lives in it. Now, this has been a big problem because there's been quite a lot of interpretations, and people are interpreting this preamble to suit their needs and time. Now, which is being opportunistically used by apologists of illegal immigrants and general illegality to detriment of South African citizens. Now, to this end, Operation Dudula calls for a national referendum. I want to allow South Africans to express their views on how immigration laws should be applied and enforced within this framework of the Constitution. Such a process would reaffirm that the will of the people remains central to our democracy while ensuring that the rule of law, social cohesion, and human dignity are upheld. Now, when we talk about the people shall govern. This is where we call for a national referendum. Now we call on all members and supporters of Operation Dudula to respect the ruling for now, while our legal team pursue the appeal process. So we're definitely going to appeal this judgment. We further urge all South Africans to remain vigilant, exercise their rights responsibly under the law, and continue to report suspicious or illegal activities to the law enforcement authorities as empowered by the Constitution. So let's keep reporting, these activities, though we know that our law enforcers do nothing about it. Not sure if it's another way of making them rich, because when we report these matters, nothing happens. But so it's within it is empowered by the Constitution that people should report suspicious or illegal activities, and we promote that. But now our operations, yes, we will have to respect the ruling, the judgment for now, until we file an appeal on this case. Not sure how we're going to do it with the rest of South Africans, because we do have ordinary citizens that go to these public facilities and go and exercise their rights. I'm not sure. Probably Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa will have to make that call, because I will talk to supporters and members of Operation Dudula to stop. Anything above that is over my powers. Communities have been doing this even outside the presence of Operation Dudula. Now, the judgment sets a dangerous precedent that may weaken law enforcement, erode the state's capacity to manage illegal immigration responsibly, and attack the legitimate interests of South African citizens. Now, accordingly, we have instructed our legal team to lodge an appeal on this judgment to protect the interests of South African citizens and the rule of law. Now, I want to remind South Africans that South Africa belongs to South Africans. South Africa belongs to South African citizens, and illegal immigration is a crime. I think I want to do this part as we close. I think, Petunia, we can, before we close, I'll do the last part. I think we can take questions for now. We want to limit our session to an hour at least, but we